Welcome to episode 10 of River Talk. This is the 7th of December, and today we are going to be discussing a lot of the different things that's been going on in the news today, like for instance, conflict of interests with the Trump Tower, Trump's call to the president of Taiwan, and if that will have any repercussions. It doesn't really seem like it will. And
right, so let's start with the Taiwan thing. I haven't read a lot of this, but from what I've heard, it sounds like people are making a lot bigger deal out of this than it perhaps ought to, which, big shocker, Trump does something, people make a big deal about it. I've never heard of that before. Mm-hmm. So what does this actually, I mean, we don't know the contents of the call, right? Correct?
We don't. What the call consisted of was, it's kind of back to where some people say, Trump called him, some say the president of Taiwan called Trump to congratulate him for getting the presidency and everything. So that's kind of what they talked about, and like Trump reaffirmed, hope that the U.S. is going to continue to support Taiwan so they don't become part of China.
Mm-hmm. So, right. So that's what a shock, people.
I mean, they keep talking about how, diplomatic repercussions with China. It's like, well, we're already selling $60 billion worth of arms. I mean, already a conflict there. So, I mean, China's managed to get over that.
And there was a senator, I think it was Chris Murphy from Connecticut, said that this is like the first step to starting a war with China or something like that. And see, I don't think besides, probably a few hardline members of the Chinese Communist Party that many of them are even going to care, because honestly, with us buying all of China's stuff and, with us having such an economic dependence on one another, a little conversation with Taiwan, I don't think that's honestly going to play out too much
and
in the scope of things.
A lot of money comes in and out of both of our countries, and it's more economically sound to rather stay at peace and actually physically take over one another's country. Mm-hmm. And also, we just learned about this today. What was the clause? Emollient clause.
Emollient clause.
Yeah. So
emoluments.
So basically, the president is not supposed to have a conflict of interest and basically not be bribed by any foreign power or anything like that. No wrongdoing, basically. And with him having, an international organization of, hotels, businesses, stuff like that around the world, a lot of people are begging the question, how is that going to work out during his time as president?
Right. I think he's come out and said, publicly, that he's going to step down as, I don't know what he is of his own company, the head of his company. He's probably going to pass it on to one of his kids or one of his family members, Mm-hmm. So I think in that regard, he can't disconnect from his company. I mean, that's impossible.
That's a company he's built from the ground up.
Right, it's kind of after him.
Right, the thing's named after him. So in that regard, he can't completely disconnect. But him coming out to the public and addressing this issue, saying, I'm going to be stepping down, this isn't what I'll be doing for the next 4 years. I'll be,
running
the country as best I can for the next 4 years. But this also raises the question of, as many people have come out both in and out of the U.S. that have, so harshly criticized Trump, this could become a real safety concern. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about people, like I was actually watching a video the other day of, it was footage of different people that come and stay at, the different Trump towers in America, and for the majority of the people, it seemed like, now it's a video, so it can obviously be fake, because nothing's ever real on the internet. This isn't real, by the way. It doesn't matter that it's Trump towers, it's that it's like a high quality hotel, as I understand it. So you have these people that can afford these big fancy hotels and whatever, that's fine and it's good. But then those people are now at risk because of how many people might not like Trump as much as they do.
Yeah. I mean, along with ISIS, they obviously have, militants all across the globe hidden somewhere. And so it really begs the question as to if they'll actually plan an attack as well on his towers. Because, I mean, if he's going to be as hard on ISIS as he promises to be, we're going to find out, in his couple of years in office. But if he's as hard as he is, obviously those militants are going to act up, rise up somewhere and do some harm.
Right. And that's kind of where a catch-22 lies. Does he through executive orders or whatever upgrade security around Trump towers to protect his industry and the people that
I
stay
mean,
there.
it's a really
or, you know what I'm
complicated
saying?
issue because, I mean, should his company just hire like, you know, a private security firm maybe or something like that
That would-
instead of having like, you know,
that-
federal troops or something like that?
That would be the more financially suitable option, and I think it would earn a lot of points with conservatives who don't like to see, money being wasted on just about everything.
Mhm.
But I think the smart thing to do would just be like to have Department of Homeland Security and, other law enforcement agencies just take the politics and the name out of all of it and just treat it as if it was like the Empire State Building or something. It's a landmark and it should be defended just as equal as any other, but also at the same time not get,
I
preferential
think
treatment.
like Secret Service and Homeland Security should definitely like, his wife Melania
Mhm.
and his youngest son, I believe they're staying at their penthouse in the New York one, I
Mhm.
believe. So I believe at least, there should be, obviously
Yeah.
federal, maybe federal troops, federal agents, something like that, obviously protecting his family. But I don't believe that every single
Right.
tower
Because
should
later
should
down-
have like federal.
Right, because
employees
later
there.
down the
Unless there's
line-
like a credible threat or
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Later down the line, is it, do I stay at the, whatever, the breakfast in bed down the street with no security whatsoever, or should I risk going to the Trump Towers and where they have anti-aircraft guns and all this other kind of crap,
I
I mean,
just don't have
that's
planes, you kidding me?
Yeah, right, so, I don't know, I see the real conflict of interest there, is, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Then something else that happened yesterday was, I think Donald Trump and General Mathis were in North Carolina, I
Mhm.
believe, last night.
Yeah.
And they gave another, kind of a rally victory speech kind of thing, saying thank you. And he said a lot of key things that he said throughout his campaign, repeal Obamacare, we're going to build that wall, it's going to be
Mhm.
great. We're going to ask people to dream big again, we're going to make America great. Like all the promises
Mhm.
that he made throughout his primary presidential campaign. And so he's just going out, right now he's doing like a victory tour, I think.
Yeah.
And just
He'll be in Iowa tomorrow.
reassuring confidence that, his voters are going to get what they wanted, what they voted for, stuff like that,
Right.
so.
Even though that kind of contrasts with some of what we've heard from like meetings with this new cabinet picks, like I know there are some people that are saying, well, he's not going to completely repeal Obamacare. He's going to repeal this, and this, but he's going to keep this and this. And I almost wonder if that's a little bit of a betrayal on a lot of his initial support base, because a lot of the people that initially supported Trump were on those kinds of promises. And now that he's saying that he's not going to be as severe, same thing with deporting illegal immigrants. He's saying that the people that are teachers and whatever, or well, not teachers, but what I mean, like that have built a family here, or have their living and they're good people, but the ones that aren't good people are getting deported. It's just that he's starting to, I don't want to say turn back or flip flop, because I feel like it hasn't gotten to that point yet, but you know what I mean?
Fluctuate kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's just
One of the-
semantics because the media is all pouncing on it right now, and
Yeah.
he's got to try and avoid as much flack as possible.
And one of the interesting things he said was, the script is not yet written yet, so they're not 100% sure what they're doing yet. But right now, they got the team together, and now they're going to write out, exactly point by point what they're going to be doing. So it's just, I thought that was very interesting. Like, there's obviously been a lot of turmoil with his, cabinet picks. Maybe some are controversial, some less than others.
Yeah.
And so, the script's not written yet, at least for him.
His pick for Department of Ed, have you guys picked up on this at all?
Yeah.
I can't remember
The
what.
charter school advocate?
Yeah.
her name is-
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know her name, but
Betsy
I
DeVos.
What's that?
DeVox?
DeVos, Betsy
Okay.
DeVos.
Right. So I just want to get your guys' read on this, if you've heard anything.
I mean, me and Trey kind of talked about it.
Right.
Foundations. Basically, it's someone who has no experience in the field of education, who's being put in charge of the nation's education, basically, education system. And so, I don't know, it's just, is it really that crazy of a concept to have like a veteran teacher, a really great teacher, something like that, someone who's well respected, I
Someone
guess.
who's been in a classroom.
Yeah.
Anytime someone fills a position, you want them to actually have some experience.
Right.
Like, and we're seeing
Do
a
you
lot
see
of
who the
these-
president
I'm
is?
saying, that's what I'm saying. We're seeing a lot now where these people don't necessarily have the experience where they're being put.
Right.
I see,
Typically,
like-
on principle, I'm against lifetime politicians, just because I don't believe in that kind of practice. But I feel like, especially with education, you need somebody who's, like you just said, need
They have,
experienced
yeah.
people, not people that want to take money from the public school system, vouch for, these charter schools, these private schools that like 80-something
one in
percent
five
of them
actually
fails, yeah.
succeed.
Right, so on that regard, no, I don't approve of this cabinet pick.
And see, we said this before too, like it's just taking money away from public schools that are already bad and making them worse, basically. So it's not doing any good in the sense, and they're taking money away from also really good schools that, might need it for certain programs or things like that. It's just.
Right, and then like the other part of the issue, I have more of a libertarian kind of stance. You can't take money, okay, and then throw it at an issue and expect it to resolve. You know what I mean? It's what we've seen at charter school. I mean, like 80-something% of charter schools fail.
And welcome back. We took a short break, and when we left, we were discussing the U.S. Department of Education pick by Donald Trump and how, throwing more money and having a non-experienced person run that department just isn't really going to help the public school system at all right now.
She's in big favor of things like vouchers in charter schools, which, on principle, I'm not for or against. I think vouchers are, I am against vouchers because that takes money from the public school system, which I think most of us can attest is already struggling, right? So they take the little money that exists in the public school system, and they put it on these charter schools. And charter schools, they're funded with a certain incentive in mind that they want to be a specialty kind of school. But then when the vast majority of these charter schools fail, within even 10 or 15 years of them opening, it begs the question, well, why are we still doing this? It'd be one thing if only half of them were failing, right? Then you could still open the discussion.
Yeah, there'd be a good discussion.
But when
about that.
some in only 1 in 5 actually produces successful.
That's like less than a 25. That's like basically a 15% chance,
Right.
pretty much.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think this unexperienced person is not the
And
greatest.
here's another thing, like, maybe if our education system wasn't so bad and broken right now, I might be able to let this one slide, but I mean, I'm gonna be an education major, that's what I wanna do with my life, and it's just, our system is lagging behind compared to the rest of the world in a great big way when it comes to math, science, reading, all the big basic subjects. And just throw someone in the position with absolutely zippity-doo-dah experience isn't going to fix the problem. It's just I feel like it's just going to add to the problem.
Right. I mean, Iowa, just within the 50 states and the District of Columbia, Iowa, even 10 years ago, used to rank within the top 5 across the nation in terms of education and test scores and things like that. And now, I mean, even as of just last year, it was ranked number 24. That's awful. That's deplorable. And so now this kind of stems from a couple different things. I think one of the biggest things that has kind of caused the decline of public schools, if you will, is largely contributed to Common Core, right? The idea that students have to pass the test, fill in the right blanks, check off the right boxes, rather than learning knowledge. You see what I'm saying? Like school, I can remember going through high school because it was only a year and a half ago, and I remember just constantly thinking, okay, what do I need to pass the test? What do I need to get a good score on the test? How can I, use my time efficiently? And that's not necessarily a bad mindset, but it's not a mindset that encourages deep thinking and intellectual diversity. It's a kind of mentality that thinks, what do I need so I don't get bogged down?
Yeah, we're like, what do I need right now? Not, you don't retain it.
Right.
You have to learn so
Right.
much so quickly. You're like, this is what I need for this second. That's all I have to do. And then next, a week later, you're like, I have no idea what I was talking about.
Right.
And just to kind of add an example to that, my senior year in world literature, we read a book, right? I can't specifically remember what it was, like Jungle or something. But once you read it, you have to analyze it from 5 different viewpoints, kind of thing, and it just encourages deep thinking, analyzing things from different perspectives, trying to understand different people's point of views and everything, so you can keep an open mind and also have a greater understanding of the different aspects the author is trying to get. And so I just think it's stuff like that big projects like that, while you may not like them, it will help you in the long run, you know?
Right. That's the other thing. And that's not to say that I never learned anything in high school.
Yeah,
Of course not.
yeah.
That's far from the truth. But, and I understand that the administration and the staff and the school board, they're all in tight positions too, because they have to enforce this kind of thing, because that's kind of how our public school system is written right now. It's to where you have to be able, you have to be proficient and, you know, solve
Mastery.
and mastery and
Yeah.
your progress monitoring and your, you know, and you know, a lot of it, it's not about leaving with more knowledge than you came in with. It's about checking the right boxes, making sure you got a proficient or a mastery score on something. It's not about establishing who you are as a
You
person.
don't have to be smart, you just have to be able to remember.
Right, right. That's
Yeah, I had plenty of teachers in high school where they would tell us what part of the thing that they had to cover. They're like, this is an awful thing, but we have to do it. There
right.
was no point. They said there was no point to some of the stuff we did, but they had to do it.
Right. Like I can remember, like even in like just about every math class. I mean, I know most people don't really care for math, but even still, you know, you learn one formula, one concept, and then you move on to the next chapter, and you use some of that knowledge that you previously needed in this next one. But then you move one chapter forward, you don't need any of it anymore. You know what I mean? It's not about retention. It's not about learning. It's about like this kind of false progress.
And like, that's kind of the same thing with like in pre-calculus. Like pre-calculus, you learn all the theory, all the long, complicated formulas to do stuff. Then when you do calculus, like, oh, there's a shortcut for everything you just did. So it basically just negates everything you just learned in the last
And it really frustrates you. And you think,
Yeah.
why am I here? What's the progress if that was just so belittled? I think another thing that, another problem that the public schools have is they've so like quickly belittled the role of parents. You know what I mean? Like it's important for parents to be involved in their child's education, of course, but the public schools have made it to where it's like they have classes on how to be a parent for the parent, and it's incredible how, you know, like it used to be, from what I've heard, because obviously I wasn't around. It used to be like, you know, you went to school, you learned how to read, do math, do science, all that other crap. But then you go home and it's your parents that teach you like your morals, right? And your ethics and your, you know, what to do, what not to do. That was largely the morals, and I think that still is to a degree. But it's been so much more focused on the school level to teach the kids about sex and about relationships and about morals and about things that are. I mean, obviously nobody should aim to be, you know, this wildly sexually and whatever, you know. But like, it's just the idea of teaching morals in a public school that I think a lot of people struggle with. And then, you know, they have these parenting seminars and these parenting textbooks. But then as soon as you, the conscious parent, say, actually, I think I'm doing an okay job at being a parent, I don't think I need to go to this. Now you're a bad parent because you didn't go to the good parenting seminar.
No, see, they have, because I work with kids, and like, not only are parents know not only like morals and stuff, but the way that they learn, you're not allowed to. I teach, like I work with some of the young kids, I do homework, and you're not allowed to teach them the way you learn. They want only one way, like it's only the school's opinion that seems to count. If they don't do it the way they are taught, then it's incorrect, and that's, the parents can't even help them.
And see, when you talk about that, it kind of makes me think like, the schools are trying to teach kids what's acceptable, what's right, what's considered right in our society compared to what, you know, your parents believe are right, what they think is, you know, morally correct. You know, it's just trying to get people to fall in line, I personally think, when it comes to teaching what's right.
You know, I
what's wrong.
understand that this kind of thinking stems from, you know, the 50% of marriages end in divorce and kids growing up with like single parent homes and other situations like that. And I understand that some of that really needs addressing, especially on the school side. But it's gotten to the point now where the parents almost discouraged from being involved in the way that they want to be involved.